It's time to check in. I'm Tony. Today we are talking about our second destination of our honeymoon, Bali. I will pick the brains of my co-host, Vivi, regarding how this leg of our trip went.
Hi, this is Vivi.
To refresh everyone on the planning phase of our honeymoon, shameless plug for episode 1, Bali is our primary location we wanted to go for this trip, the headliner of our vacation, if one may say. I am not ashamed to admit I contributed very little to planning this leg of the trip. I would like Vivi to share what were your expectations and experiences you wanted to achieve in Bali when you planned this leg of our trip.
When I thought about Bali, the first thing I thought about was the nature there, the animals. It's very picturesque. There's beautiful sunsets, beaches. It's just a place of relaxation, a place where I can disconnect, because a lot of things were going on at that time in our lives and we were just crazy busy. So I felt that Bali was an escape from reality, further away, a place where people can't reach us, where we can just focus on ourselves and our love and then just relax and also learn a new culture. Because of the beauty of Bali, at least from what I could see in photos and videos when I did my research, I felt that I really wanted to capture this leg of the trip. So I even hired a photographer.
I was like, more photos? Oh my goodness. I am really camera shy and you're always putting me in front of a camera. I don't like that sensation that much, but...
Hey, these were going to be different types of photos because Bali, they had a lot of waterfalls, they had rice terraces. There is a scenery that we wouldn't see here in the United States. So I felt like we already had our set of engagement photos and wedding photos, but on our honeymoon, I also wanted to document it. I wanted to take photos of something different in the background. Yes, I understood that you didn't really want to, but the photographer wasn't that expensive. And I could look back and be like, wow, that trip was great.
So it seems like you had a lot of plans, ideas, and a good mindset going in to relax and rejuvenate yourself. So in reality, how did all that go?
Not as expected. I mean, you were there, Tony. I think I was losing my mind. Don't get me wrong. Bali was a very beautiful place. It is very picturesque for the most part. But I felt I couldn't focus on Bali's beauty because I was kind of suffering in my own way. I was suffering from skin issues. The Bali sun was like poison to my skin. I was not only having sun allergies, I had pimples every single day, probably because of the humidity and just the air, the water just wasn't good for my skin. And then sunburn was a thing. I also started to run out of sunscreen. I had brought like 3 bottles of sunscreen for the both of us. I didn't realize how much we had to reapply because we would be sweating it all off like constantly. And then we started running low. And we were spending a total of 10 days in Indonesia. And for someone that's allergic to American sunscreen, unfortunately, I had to have my own. And I was freaking out that I wasn't going to be able to find something that worked for my skin.
But were you at least enjoying the food?
So food-wise, I felt like I was really excited going in to try more Indonesian food because even in the San Francisco Bay Area, we're so diverse, but there's actually really not much Indonesian food available. So I was going in with the mindset of I'm going to be trying authentic Indonesian food that I don't get here in the States. I was very excited. And our first meal, it was great. It was actually cooked by a private chef through our villa, and he cooked us a feast. It was really yummy. We had a couple more meals after that in restaurants. Still great. But after the third meal, what I can say looking back is the food started tasting the same. It's not that we kept ordering the same things, but a lot of the spices and the herbs that they used on their meats were relatively the same mixture or just tasted very similar. So when we were spending like 8 days in Bali and 2 to 3 days on another Indonesian island, I was like, oh, I don't know if I can eat this.
All right off the rip, what was your favorite dish then?
So I really like the ubud crispy duck and I really like the satay. But I must say anything that's fried is great.
Really? I thought you would like the mee goreng or nasi goreng, which was fried rice, and chow mein more.
Oh yeah, that was very surprising because I thought I would be more into the dishes that I can't find here in the United States. But when I tried the fried rice and the fried noodles, dude, that tasted so flavorful that I was like, wow, they're just using instant noodles. Indomie instant noodles to make this. I don't know what they put in it, if they put like the ramen seasoning in it, but I felt it tastes better than anything I tried in all of Indonesia. Albeit we didn't really eat out as much because we were afraid of Bali belly. That was definitely a warning from every site that I looked at. And they said Bali belly is real. It is very common, and you just need to be very careful when you're eating out.
But in reality, we both contracted Bali belly, right?
Near the end, actually, our Bali belly was not as bad as I expected. We were very careful. We went in knowing that we cannot drink any of their tap water. We needed to make sure that it was either bottled or it was heavily filtered. So a lot of the villas do offer filtered water. We didn't even use their tap water to brush our teeth. I had to use it to wash my face, which is probably why I started breaking out, but their water definitely isn't clean. I think at the end when we contracted Bali belly was because the private chef that cooked for us our last couple meals, they probably used tap water. Even though they boiled it to make soup, it wasn't clean for us.
Wow, that sounded like a lot of things didn't go your way. But in terms of the part where you talked about healing, rejuvenation, taking a step back, being in the moment, being very lovey-dovey on the island, did you get any of that satisfied?
I did. I feel like seeing how the Indonesian people lived on the island of Bali, I felt that they're very happy. Even though their living conditions actually did make me quite sad. Because we were living in villas and not resorts, the villas are a part of the community, a part of their residential areas. And it's just kind of like hidden in, and it's a very nice place. Obviously, the villas were not the same as the living conditions of the residents there. But as you walk by their residence, you see it's very unkept. It's relatively dirty. It doesn't look like they have the best living conditions, but they look so happy. They are always smiling. They're very welcoming. I don't know if they're just smiling because we're giving them money too, but
Or are they just ripping us off because we're paying a pretty penny for their service?
I felt they were genuine though. I felt that they really wanted to give us the best experience in Bali, and they just seemed like they really loved their life, even though they didn't have much. And for me, seeing that when I have so much more than them, I should be a lot happier. Why am I still complaining about things in life where these people don't even have the same healthy living conditions as I do? It gave me a new sense of appreciation for my life. Even though I didn't really get the full relaxation because I was freaking out half the time, or maybe even more than that, but I felt a sense of, hey, wake up. Look at what you're seeing right now. You have it a lot better. You should enjoy your life. Which I was to an extent, but of course there was always something I would complain about, and I felt in Bali that all of those should go out the window.
No. Definitely complain about the water. That's very important. The water quality there is bad, and there's no real ifs, ands, or buts for that specific aspect. But I felt like the locals really had no materialistic tendencies. They didn't indulge in luxury. They didn't need to appear visibly beautiful of sorts. They really appreciated what was given to them on this island. And it was really rejuvenating to see. It's really healing to see that you don't need a lot to live a happy life. I think that was a very big moral of what we learned in Bali.
And for the spiritual aspect of it, they really did have that. They're very religious, and their religion is Hinduism. They pray, and they also like give offering every single day from what we saw. Even though we don't have the same religion, but seeing that and seeing how immersed they are in their culture and how they preserve that, it was definitely different. And I really respected that. So it gave me a sense of like peace as well, outside of my crazy thoughts that I wasn't going to survive there and that I might die of sunburn or something.
But even though we just did a huge record scratch on Bali, we did have some great experiences. I had a very great experience in the monkey forest.
Yeah, the Ubud Monkey Forest, which is kind of more central Bali, it was definitely one of the places that we really wanted to visit when we were staying in the Ubud area. It's more of a rainforest area, and it had free roaming monkeys everywhere.
I think what you mean is we are entering their living habitat.
Yeah, it's a sanctuary. I remember walking in and I'm like, oh my goodness, a monkey. And then I tried to take a photo, but as we kept walking in, there was tons of monkeys. Big, small, babies. We saw so much.
Oh, those monkeys were devious little rascals too. They were trying to tug on your dress. They were trying to steal a soda bottle off someone else's backpack. One monkey was good enough. They actually stole someone's vape.
I know, and started vaping in front of us. Unfortunately, I couldn't get my camera out fast enough. It was hilarious where the visitor was so surprised that their vape got stolen, and then sitting in front of them, just taunting them, was the monkey vaping.
There was disclosures to keep all personal belonging well tucked and kept because monkeys will do this. They are very smart and they will use their cuteness to get to you and catch you off guard. And they caught so many people off guard. It was such a hilarious part of our trip. We definitely felt we are the ones that are getting picked on by the monkeys in this place, not us looking at monkeys.
I also enjoyed Ubud the most out of the entire island, and especially the monkey sanctuary, because there was shade. It was still really hot and humid, and I was sweating like crazy. But at that point, because I was trying to protect myself from getting sunburn and more skin allergies from the sun, I was wearing like long sleeve, long dress. Thank goodness I had packed that. And in the Ubud Monkey Sanctuary, there's trees everywhere, obviously because the monkeys live there. And there was quite a lot of shade. I'm like, this is the place for me. I finally found where I belong on this island.
Until the monkeys start pulling at your dress and trying to undress you.
Yeah, that was a big shock. Thankfully, they were just baby monkeys and they didn't actually pull my dress down. So Tony, you keep grilling me about Bali and my experience. In regards to what you saw and where we went in Bali, what did you like the most?
Yes, Your Honor, allow me to elaborate. I really enjoyed seeing the rice terrace. To my surprise, it's kind of common in Asia, but when I was there in person, to be in this hidden valley with a lot of rice terraces left and right, it felt like I was away from everything. I was just me, Vivi.
And the photographer?
Oh yeah, we're there for photos. And we're just having a nice quiet moment to ourselves. Little birds chirping here and there, just relaxing. Everything around us didn't matter. That was why we came to Bali, right? We wanted to take in everything and just let our regular lives take a pause.
Which is why I was really glad that I chose the Seeking Rice Terrace as our first location for our photo shoot. Because first of all, like we don't get to see rice terraces, which is the ladder type of rice fields that you see in photos if you search Bali. We did live near a rice terrace for our first villa, which is near the Seminyak and Canggu area. But the Seeking Rice Terrace is really famous. They can get a little bit crowded when you go like during the day and whatnot. But because we were there with our photographer, we were allowed to go before they open, where there was no one there, except another couple that was taking photos. But we were able to get a kind of peace that we usually don't have in our daily lives. And like Tony said, the weather was really great during the morning time. It felt cool. So, of course, we're smiling and actually enjoying our photo shoot. And it acted as a very grand, beautiful background.
Speaking of our photo shoot, we went to a waterfall to take a set of photos as well. It was very picturesque, but in my memory, what I remembered the most is a vendor off to the side allowing signs to be rented. And the words on the signs were rather derogatory.
Okay, not something that we could talk about on this podcast, okay?
But if you're in Southeast Asia, it's actually pretty common to have some vendors have some vulgar phrases. So you can hold up a sign while taking a picture in a very beautiful naturist that has vulgar and derogatory terms. Just saying, it's fun. It really made my day.
Yeah, that was our second photo shoot location. It was the Blong Singa waterfall, and it was starting to get really warm though during that time, and the sun was beaming and then I was melting. I don't know how you felt, Tony, but being near that waterfall and having some of the water splash onto us was pretty nice.
The most uncomfortable part was I had to wear a nice shirt that wasn't breathable.
It was linen.
Linen is not as breathable as,
Not wearing any clothes?
Well, I'm not that crazy now.
I don't think you want to document that in our photos, right?
Yeah, we prioritize beauty over functionality for that one instance.
The photo shoot turned out great. It really captured the picturesque nature of Bali that they had to offer. Even though behind the photos was a girl that was losing her mind and her husband that was trying to comfort her, making sure that she actually does survive this trip. I think all in all, when I look back at those photos, I am really happy to see them.
While we're on the subject of photo shoots, there's this one place in Bali that's very famous. It's all over Instagram. It's called the Gate of Heaven.
Lempuyang Temple.
That was one of the items on our bucket list to go check out.
It wasn't actually an item on mine. I actually felt that was a really out of the way location. If you look at Bali on a map, you'll see that Lempuyang Temple is all the way to the east side. So I felt it was really out of the way. If you didn't want to go, I probably would have not gone there.
Well, the Lempuyang Temple is the oldest temple of Bali, and it has one of the hugest historical significance. I definitely want to see it. So we made time on our schedule. We had ourselves chauffeured all the way to the Lempuyang Temple to check it out. But we hit major setbacks on this excursion.
Let me explain a little bit further. So Lempuyang Temple is a very popular photo place and a temple to visit. It's a tourist attraction, yet a very spiritual place on Bali. A lot of people online were saying that you need to go there during sunrise because there's the least amount of people there, or some people said that sunset was also like a secondary time frame. And for me, because we already woken up quite early for a photo shoot, I didn't want to wake up another day that was at 3 a.m. or something to get ready to go to the temple. I wanted to cut Tony a break, and I was like, it's okay, maybe we should try the sunset time. Because they say that the gates of Lempuyang do look similar to other gates that are at other temples, but the one thing that makes it really different is that it's really high up on the mountaintop, and you get to see a mountaintop right in between the two gates. But if you go there during the day where it can get really foggy, just like how San Francisco gets, you will not see that mountain.
Spoiler alert, it was very foggy. It was all gray. You can't see a mountain in between the two gates. It was just a gray backdrop.
Yeah, it looked like San Francisco. I was really happy because I was like, oh, it's cool here. There's no sun.
Our driver actually asked the other locals how long the wait was, and they said it was 2 hours long.
And that was at sunset, where the sky was about to be dark.
Yeah, so like I said, there was a lot of setbacks. It didn't really turn out to look exactly like how it looked like in Instagram.
Oh, definitely not. I mean, first of all, Instagram already showed people that when you take a photo at Lempuyang Temple, they use a mirror to reflect the gates. So it looks like in front of the camera is actually a pool of water.
So there was indeed no water. It was just stone flooring, and the gates was rather weathered, actually. One of the more sadder parts is the queue to line up to take that Gates of Heaven photo, and the conditions where it's not even the nicest was 2 hours long.
I think by the 2-hour mark, it would have been pitch black already.
Yep, and I didn't wait for that 2 hour long photo, and I just abandoned ship. There was a lot of other people waiting, but it made the temple feel like it wasn't a relaxing and spiritual place. Everyone just wants to take the photo and go.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was not there with you during this experience.
You want to elaborate where you were?
I was warned that I cannot step anywhere near the temple because I was dirty.
Wow, what are you talking about?
So, as we were paying with our driver, they suddenly asked me a question. They're like, "Are you menstruating?" And I responded, "Yes."
Very honest of you.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect that kind of question. And which also explains why the Bali leg of the trip also wasn't as great because I was on my period. But for me to be asked that was very surprising. I didn't really understand why initially, but I answered truthfully. She gave me this stare, and then she told me, "Oh, you can't go up on top of the temple." And I asked why, and she said, "No menstruating women can." She didn't really explain, but at that time she's like, "You have to stay down here." And at that point, we already traveled like 2 hours to get to Lempuyang by car. So for me to be staying in the parking lot was definitely disappointing.
They actually took a video of you saying that, yes, you were menstruating.
I know, having a camera stuck in my face, admitting that I was on my period, that was weird. But I didn't understand it in the beginning, but I was like, okay, this must be something that's part of their religion, and I want to be respectful. I said goodbye to Tony and the driver. And I said, good luck. Take a photo for the both of us.
But yeah, mission failed. No photos was taken.
Tony ended up just having the driver help him take a photo next to the gate. And it just showed me like how the gate looked like. Afterwards, I did research on my phone to see why women on their periods cannot enter temples in Indonesia or Bali. And what I was told was women during that time of the month is very unclean. They say that if women on their period step into the temple, it will cause the temple to lose its spirit and its power. And I'm like, oh my goodness, thank goodness they asked me that question because I don't want to be the person that causes that. So for the women that are listening to this podcast, you were warned.
Even though you didn't have the best of experiences in Bali, you chose some nice days for us to stay at. Did you at least enjoy those?
I would say mostly. I really enjoyed the first day that was near Canggu area. That villa was definitely newer. It had a very modern-esque feel. And it was right next to a rice terrace. Also was the ladder type, but it was a residential one. Even the bathroom had a huge window where you could see the rice terraces. It was funny though. When I need to like change or if I need to use the bathroom, I need to close the blinds. And Tony was like, that defeats the purpose of this entire window and the view. And I'm like, well, I don't need people picking rice looking at me doing my business.
I enjoyed it a lot. I tried to make the best of all amenities. But to call you out, you were mainly just hanging out in the master bedroom.
Yeah, because I was suffering from skin issues already at that point.
Well, you could suffer from skin issues in the living room and the grand space.
Yeah, but the weird thing was the first villa, they have staff that help you clean and potentially help you cook if you pay for those services. They were walking around the main areas and I didn't really feel as comfortable because it was really hot. I wasn't wearing a lot of clothes. And for them to be walking around and mopping the floors and cleaning, I just didn't feel like I wanted to go and lay around and lounge out there. It just seemed weird to me. I just wanted my privacy. So that was something that I didn't know. In terms of the second villa, it was at Ubud and it was covered by rainforests. And it was very beautiful. Unfortunately, I couldn't even dunk in the pool because I was on my period at that point. And it was nestled into these residential areas where you walk by and it's like hidden. A lot of villas are actually not easy to find. If you were to order food on their Grab app or, try to get delivery, not the easiest thing because even if you give them the address, the drivers might not be able to find it really easily.
We had to direct the Grab order that we ordered to our host to help give him directions so that we had food for one of our stays.
But anyway, the Ubud stay was very beautiful. I really enjoyed it. But there was a really big downside to it was there was no AC in the common areas. There was only AC in bedrooms. And actually, I found out later that that's a very common thing in Bali. It is very expensive to have AC throughout. So they just focus on your sleeping areas. And the rest of the areas, it is hot.
Yeah, we were cooking in the living area in the Ubud stay.
That's why I point this out, is be careful. Even on Airbnb, they do check off air conditioned, but they're not very specific in terms of, is it air conditioned throughout the house or is it just the bedrooms? So I would say before you book, ask the host, message them. If there's no AC throughout the villa, that you're okay with that. And the last day.
Oh, the last day.
It was more affordable than the first two stays, not by a lot, but it was a little bit cheaper and it included a driver for free. You just only had to pay for gas. I was excited for this one because I was like, okay, I don't need to pay separately for the driver to drive us around to go look at some attractions. And the stay looked beautiful. It was really open concept. It was modern and had a vibe to it that the other two stays didn't have.
I had my doubts, but you were very convinced that it's going to be the best stay of our Bali trip.
Yeah, and then we went there and there was no AC through the common areas, but because it's the open concept, it didn't even have doors or walls to enclose the living room area. I felt like we were in the wild. There was geckos and like lizards like on the walls everywhere. When I turned on the lights, you could see them scatter. There was bugs. Oh my gosh. There was frogs.
You were not ready for nature.
I guess I was ready to see animals and like insects and the creatures on my own accord, but not at my living space. I was freaked out, even though I usually am not really afraid of lizards. But when you suddenly see them on their wall and just like running away into corners of your house, I was scared that if I'm sleeping, would they run into my mouth?
That's one hell of a worry you got going on there.
But that wasn't the worst part of the stay. It ended up being the driver. There was a lot of great reviews on that Airbnb villa about the driver being super knowledgeable and also can take you anywhere you want to be taken. And unfortunately, we were just that lucky. The driver was sick the 2-3 days that we were staying there.
Instead, we got this brother that didn't know where he was going. He was 100% lost 100% of the time.
Yeah, even picking us up from the airport, he didn't even go to the right terminal to pick us up. Then when he did pick us up, he didn't even know how to get to the villa. he was lost. Initially, I didn't know this until he started stopping the car and asking someone nearby where the villa was. And I was like, wait, this guy that is hired by the villa, even though he's not the normal driver, he doesn't know where the villa is.
Yeah, that was very not confidence inspiring. We didn't feel like we were going to have a good time if he just keeps getting lost.
Yeah, and he actually had the maps open. I'm pretty sure it was Google Maps too. The map was telling him to turn left and he would turn right. And he just kept driving, not knowing that he did the wrong turn. And I had to tell him like, hey, I think you were supposed to go back and then turn right or left at that point. Because of this, I was really disappointed. And at that point, I was all Bali'd out. I was like, you know what? Let's just stay at our villa. We'll just go to a nearby attraction. So at least if he gets lost, it's not wasting a lot of time.
But he still managed to get that wrong.
So I'm really glad the last couple days, we just ended up staying in the villa with the lizards and frogs.
And limited AC.
And we just relaxed. We didn't really explore the Uluwatu area that we had hoped for. But it was a lot of beaches and like more temples. And I was like, you know what? I just want to take a break before we get to Taiwan. And at that point, we also had Bali belly.
So I spent most of the time in the bathroom listening to chickens, just cock-a-doodle-doo everywhere.
Every day in Bali, you would hear chickens.
It's not just morning, it's morning, day, afternoon, and sometimes at sunset too. They just keep going at it.
It wasn't annoying though.
It was funny.
We enjoyed them until we left.
We never heard that many chickens in our lives before. It felt like a little symphony sometimes. It was more like if you go to a church, every hour, church bells will ring, right? No, it's the chickens. The chickens will tell you a certain amount of time has passed. So, cock-a-doodle-doo.
But don't get me wrong, when I talked about the drivers, a lot of them are very good. All the other drivers that we had was great. I can say that driving in Bali, just hire a driver. Do not try to attempt that yourself. They are so aggressive. The lane lines on the road mean nothing.
It's a sea of scooters and everyone's just edging and wedging to be in front.
That was totally new to me. They're not driving very fast, but they will use every little space to get through. And there's stray dogs everywhere, which broke my heart.
I think hiring private drivers is a good move by you because we were moving around. We had luggage to lug around. The driver was taking care of all that, taking us to places in very crazy roads, and it was dirt cheap, $30 USD for a whole day of driving.
And because we were moving between villas, they also had our luggage in the car, and for every attraction that we went to, they just stayed by the car to watch everything. I felt safe, and the drivers are really great. They don't usually take tip, but because I know their living conditions and how hard it is for them to make money, I gave them a tip, and they were so happy. The people in Bali have such appreciation for their lives.
Did it make you feel happy?
It did make me feel happy that I was able to provide a little bit more for them.
But when we stop by and see Visa extension stores, I asked you about it, and your face just turned sour. What was all that about, huh?
There was a lot of visa extension places that you can go to extend your stay in Bali. And Tony would laugh saying that I'm looking at the person that wants to leave Bali earlier. I only really needed about 4 or 5 days in Bali, max. And if I ever think about going again, I would stock up on sunscreen.
I, on the other hand, enjoyed Bali.
Did you enjoy watching your wife suffer?
She did a lot of self-learning, like a tragedy. But it really was a place where we could pause our busy life, enjoy nature, just feel the vibes of appreciation of what one already have. It's a great sense of healing and appreciation. My mental state walked out a lot better, albeit my stomach walked out a lot worse. Will I ever go again? Maybe. It's very low on the list now, given we're already there. Would you go back?
The initial answer was a hard no. But after a few months and close to a year of rethinking and how it all went, I would say now that I'm more prepared and know what I would be going into, I might give it another chance. But like you said, it's not high on the priority list.
But hey, you weren't the only one suffering from skin issues. When we were leaving Bali, everyone on that plane was red from sunburn or brown from being charred from the sun.
And when you say brown, you don't even mean like a normal brown. It was like burnt brown. We were the palest people on the plane.
Because we were the only ones dumb enough to wear long sleeve and long dresses throughout the whole trip.
I am so glad we did not look like them.
And with that, that was our second leg of our honeymoon trip. Let us know if we deterred you or influenced you to going to this island of the god.
Please leave us a comment below. Let us know if you've ever been to Bali and had the same experience, or if you had a much better experience than us. We'd love to hear from you.
It's now time to check out. I'm Tony.
I'm Vivi.
Bye.
Bye.